Hello, Dayle
Hello,
Haddon.
Claudia.
I am so thrilled that this is working out and we can be in conversation with each other today for Shift Happens. I know you are super busy and you
Yeah.
just had a huge, intense week during United Nations General Assembly Week. And so, I'm particularly grateful for you to carve out the time.
Oh,
So
thank you.
we are here today to speak about your pivotal moment, and I can't wait to get to it. But before we start, I always have a few warm-up questions for my guests. And the first one is actually, what is your current state of mind?
Um, it's a Sunday. It's quiet. I feel pretty mellow. I've been meditating, and contemplating and studying. So I think it's a good state. And I'm very glad to do this podcast today because this week, even I live uptown, this week I could feel the intensity in the city, and it was hard to handle, actually. On
I
the
agree.
body, you could feel it. But I think today it's raining. It's a lot of blessings. It's gentle, and I'm very happy to be here.
Thank you. Um, how would you describe your idea of perfect happiness?
Being in harmony with myself, with my life, with the people around me, and with the world around me. Um, being in harmony and having an outlook that is complementary and positive, no matter what happens, because it's part of what I feel, that everything is positive because it's all for you. Whatever it is, it's for you. So even if it's negative, it's positive. If you can, if you can discover the wisdom of it, and the lessons of it. So that would be perfection, would be flowing without resistance to whatever comes my way.
Mhm. Yeah,
And
beautifully
trying to
said.
see, yeah, trying to see where my lessons are and where I can make a positive difference, as I flow forward.
Lovely. Yes, I'm with you. The flowing aspect is so important, right?
And maybe a little chocolate cake with that too. So
Yeah.
let's be real.
Yeah. Um, which living person do you most admire?
My daughter. I think my daughter. She is brilliant. She is inspiring. She has walked the walk. She walks the walk and has walked through fire and come out the other side as a loving, gorgeous human being filled with wisdom, and a great mother, a great daughter, a great friend, to all she meets. So I think I admire her the most.
Mhm.
Uh, and I think I admire her the most. Mhm.
Yeah, lovely.
Mhm.
So you just spoke about the walk, probably not referring to the catwalk. Um, um, I Yeah, I am so excited actually to hear about your pivotal moment because you shared a little bit with me up front, but of course, it's just such an important topic to speak about age, about how age is treated, how aging women are treated. But maybe you start in the beginning and give a little background and frame of what I just said.
Yes, I was. I've been in the beauty and fashion business many, many, many years. I say that I'm a dinosaur in the business because I've been around so long and seen so many shifts and changes. And it took me a long time to be successful. So I was very grateful when I was successful, because to be on the outside and not included is a wonderful gift and an advantage, because you can see without being seen. You can learn without any focus on you. So I had time to develop and understand truly what the business was about, and that most of the people did not really know, I didn't feel corrupted by it. I felt that I was navigating through something and trying to find my own truths within what I was navigating. And that what people said was very transient. They would say, one day you're fabulous, one day you're not fabulous. That wasn't as interesting to me, because I got solidified within my own understanding of my own truth.
Mm-hmm.
That because the same people that didn't think I was beautiful, then suddenly when I was successful, did think I was beautiful. And so I said, well, nobody really knows. It's arbitrary. And so I have to know what is beautiful, what is a beautiful person, and how can I translate that beauty, any concept of beauty, out through this medium. And what happened was, I was told by the industry after, quite a few years, that I was finished and over the hill and I would never work in the industry again. Mind you, I was 36 years old. So I went, wow, that is so wrong.
Yeah.
I'm
Yes.
really at the beginning of what I'm doing and who I am. And this industry, this multi-billion dollar industry, is telling me I am already over. And then I started thinking about it and I thought, well, then they don't know. And if they don't know, then that's a vacuum. And I'm going to change the perception of aging and what age is from the inside of the industry out. And I went to the library. I did a lot of research and I came up with unbelievable numbers with the baby boomers. It was like some 40 more plus million women who were baby boomers at the time. And yet the industry was not speaking to them. So inadvertently, they were saying they were invisible and had no value. And they were selling products on those very women, on a 20-year-old girl who didn't need those products. So I went, wow, I think I'm on to something. And I really was on the forefront of changing the perception of aging.
Yeah. And I mean, yay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. But obviously a tough and a long fight. And at the time when it was said to you, your colleagues and friends in the business, other women, other models, would they feel the same as you? Would they, stick with you on this to pave this new way forward, or were they kind of complying to the outside judgment or the industry's judgment that they've had their time?
I think there was an unwritten law, so to speak, that once you approached the age of 40, when you were going up there, which I call, the door opens, because you are suddenly the age of your mother, so you're more conscious of the age. I think they just was an agreement. They were in an agreement. And I think it was very exciting when I came out and spoke about that, because I do believe, I feel I'm very logical, and I do believe we are logical. And it is not logical for anyone, and it's not sovereign either, for anyone to say that any point of your life is any less valuable than any other point. That's just logical to me, because it's my life and I have to own it. And I'm not going to let, I don't care how big the industry is, an industry tell me that I don't hold value and women don't hold value after a certain number or a certain age. So I think my perception was, if I can expand that out and say, logically, we have a beginning of life, we have a middle of life, and we have an end of life. And it's an arc. And every part of it is valuable and important because you are alive.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
then it's up to us to agree to disagree with that understanding and change their perception. So I think when it was presented, women got very excited. They liked it and they go, "You're right, that's right." And then people would say to me, "Well, did you feel insecure when they said that?" And I actually said, "No, not at all. I thought they were wrong." And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's what's very important, is to, when you're very connected to yourself, is it's not to be inflexible, but to have a true understanding of where the value is all the time, so that you're always in touch with what is valuable and what is not valuable, what is fleeting, what is, important to put your attention and energy on.
Which of course is such a challenge, right, in the fashion and beauty industry, because it's so quick and transactional and yeah, so speedy. Yeah, so you're either with it,
And I got,
it or not.
exactly, and I got dismissed a lot of
Mm-hmm.
different things. I get dismissed sometimes in projects because I'm a model. So I just have to work harder. That's what I feel like, and prove my value, you know, speak my words that underline and support what I think we all should search for. I mean, we're all doing different things and we have interests, but I
Mm-hmm.
think if we're not really searching for what is meaning for us, then I think we come up empty-handed. So
Mm-hmm.
it's an ongoing situation, and there's an ongoing dismissals, and it's a day-to-day thing, and it's really
Mm-hmm.
up to us to make the shift happen. Even if it's just interactions with regular people, make the shift happen yourself.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not happening to you, make it happen for somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
Validate them, tell them how good their work was,
Mm-hmm.
and then suddenly you get it back
Mm-hmm.
yourself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, I've experienced you, or I've been lucky to experience you and see you in so many ways, and you always have this like open sharing um,
Oh,
attitude, so really always supporting others. Yeah, I mean, it's so vibrant and energizing. It's really special and stands out. But I want to go back again to that point where you were told, this is it, and you decided to not only question that, but go against that opinion and stand up for it. Um, it must have been, difficult at the time, and so I'm also wondering, like now looking back, what do you think you've learned out of this very decision not to go with what you've been told and to go against the common understanding?
it's a learning process. There's not only one thing I learned. I did learn that the powers that be out there don't necessarily know. Those that we give so much power to, whether it's government, institutions, people, they don't necessarily know. And so it has to filter through who you are as a person, and what kind of person you want to be and how you want to show up, for it to be truth for you, because
Mhm.
my truth might not be the truth of somebody else, but it has to suit me. So I have to feel comfortable at the end of the day that I feel that I acted on my truth, I spoke from my truth, that I was, I think we choose whether we're service to self or
Mhm.
service to others.
Mhm.
And I like to make more decisions about towards service to others, because I find that is a very rewarding way to live. And that's my personal choice, and people can have another choice. I just feel it can be very empty and not satisfying not rich, not enriching, not a time of learning, if it's service to self, because it's all about me and receiving, and so that's a choice I make. I hope I answered your question right, because I think I went off a little bit on
Yeah,
that.
I mean, I actually, yeah, yes, but also in this in this at this time, then, I mean, working in this industry where it's also so much about the outside, and the appearance and the perfection, and then you decide to go against it. I mean, I'm sure it required a lot of strength and pulling yourself together to not be compliant necessarily of the then status quo.
Yeah, sometimes it doesn't feel good to be rejected, of course. But I think my larger thing is, again, what is important. And the status quo for me, or to be rejected about that, or to be not understand that we can't always be in the center of the spotlight on the stage, that there is a time for that. And then for me, it's not really appropriate. Let the younger ones, the ones that are coming up, be in the spotlight. And then maybe somebody said, how does it feel to be off the stage? I went, I'm not off the stage, but I'm not maybe in the center light. And I had that, and I'm very grateful for it. I have been given a lot, but it's other people's turns. And now I'm in a phase in my life where I'm more like the elder statesman. It's time and age give you wisdom, hopefully, if you're on the right path. And
Clearly.
that's thank you. That's my trading point, that I am not going to try to hold on to this, so that I don't get anything, because that's not natural. That's not logical. I will lose some things physically on the outside, but I will gain hopefully so much more. That's what I'm working on the inside. And that true beauty really is emerging, is the merging of the inner you and the mixed with the physical you, the two. And so if one is truly beautiful, has a real understanding of what beauty is, then one should be beautiful all their life. And I think what you're asking about, how did the understanding come? I don't think it so much comes from effort. It's really grace. I think if you're grateful, then grace comes in your life. And I love this saying, this great saying by a great saint, that self-effort and grace are two wings of the bird. And, you can't just self-effort your way through life, and you can't just hope that all good things will happen. The two have to work together so that you move forward in a graceful way. And that's another choice that I want to make, that the process, the aging process, or the traveling through this journey called life, is a beautiful and a graceful one, and an interesting and a rewarding one, and a journey of giving back. What you've accumulated. I've been given a lot. I must give it back.
Well, and you have, and you are constantly. I mean, with your engagement
Did we get frozen?
Oops, did we?
Okay, there we are.
Yeah, here we are.
I think we got frozen, a little frozen there.
Yeah, so
okay, perfect.
Sharing and giving back. You've done, and you are doing so much. And I want to, of course, point out and let you talk a little bit about the foundation that you started a few years back, WomenOne, and bringing education to women and girls in Africa, mostly African countries, correct?
Mostly Africa, but the Syrian refugees as well, and in Turkey, and But the 6 countries we've really been working in, yeah.
That's amazing. So if you could talk a little bit about when you started and what your way has been through this, and of course also what you learn, I'm sure that it also expands on the emotion and experience of beauty. Um,
Yes.
and it gives it a completely different definition almost and character.
It really does. It's interesting that you say that because it started when I went through that journey and that shift for myself. I felt that there was a need of a book to write about the areas that I felt were important for women to focus on. And I wrote 2 books. Both of them were bestsellers, including in Europe and China. And I traveled all across America, 26 cities and 20, talking to women and talking to women in Europe and in China, all about what are we facing? What are the problems? What are the challenges as a woman? Where do we want to go? And it was extremely rewarding. And I wanted to take it a step further with more different disenfranchised women and girls. And so I started as a UNICEF ambassador because coming from the world of modeling, it can be defined as a little superficial. I don't agree because
Mhm.
I was successful later, and it gave me a great opportunity to come up with ideas, to be self-taught, and to work with great talent, great artists, so I was very fortunate in that way. But I wanted to work with, so I became a UNICEF ambassador. I traveled for them all over Africa, some very difficult trips, some held up by gunpoints, dirty, the dirty places, not 4-star or anything like that, with some of the organizations. And it was helpful because it balanced out this perception of being spoiled or being in a 4-star hotel, or of the idea of what a model is. And it there was a moment where I decided to start my own organization called WomenOne, focusing, because all of the things that these organizations do, including UNICEF, are fabulous, whether it's food or shelter or all of those things. But education to me was a game changer. If you
Mhm.
educated a girl, she would probably have, well, she will have more healthy children, educated children, less, help the community. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out all the things that they do. So many things. Help and anyway, so that's what I started. And we started in, I actually started in Kenya, but then with UNICEF, we went all over, from Darfur, which was a very difficult trip,
Mhm.
to the Congo, more difficult. I didn't go with UNICEF. I went with another organization. That was very terrifying because we were held up by gunpoint, and it can be very rough, these trips. But I would come back and then it would be another world. So there's 2 worlds. And
Mhm.
that exchange was really incredible. You were talking about the beauty. And when you bring the aesthetic of the fashion world and the beauty world over there, they get it. And then their wonderful way they hold joy and the
Mhm.
ability to do so much with so little comes back here. And I could speak to the great organizations like LVMH and L'Oreal and all of the Dior, those organizations, and say to them, let's think outside the box and find ways that we can help these young girls, and MasterCard is another one, these young girls and women. And so it was a great complicity. It challenged me a lot. I learned a lot. And it was a progression for me as well. What was I going to
Mhm.
do with all that was given to me? And so it's still ongoing, and I really, it's very satisfying work.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
speak with a lot of the girls on the phone,
Mhm.
advising them, I don't have a summer job, help me, so I call my different people. um, and I just love them. They're just extraordinary human beings that came from really very, very difficult stories, you could just cry. Sometimes
Mhm.
just hold hands and cry because it's so hard, to doing these incredible things. And with the support and help of everybody out there, we can make a difference for these hard to reach girls.
Mhm. Mhm. Wow. Thank you for all this work. And no, it's very inspirational. And so what is next for you in with this work, or in general? In you referred to yourself before a little bit as the elderly stateswoman. Um, so are you still in contact with a lot of younger models? I mean, do you know, I'm sure that everybody seeks your advice and input on how to model the model career.
I end up, that's so funny. I don't think a lot of the young girls, I think they're in their own lane and they're doing great. If they want to speak with me, I am so open to speaking to them and, encouraging them. It's much different than when I was doing, encouraging them to go further and to do other things.
Mm.
I think they're pretty good at that. I'm asked a lot to speak at conferences about, it would either about be beauty, wisdom, the wisdom of aging and what happens, or about the power of education and how it can transform a young girl's life and refugees' lives. Because I've been in the refugee camps a lot as well. So I think that I'm I'm asked a lot still to dress all my friends. And it's so fun. And I love it because I really love helping women connect to their inner beautiful woman,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and when they see it on the outside, I sometimes I cry because they
Mm-hmm.
go, wow, I'm beautiful. And yes, you are beautiful. But sometimes people don't have those tools to get there. And I know all the stores, and I don't get anything for it, but I just get the satisfaction. But they usually call me and say, help me look for this, or I'll send them a little, try this
Mm-hmm.
dress, try these pants, you have to have this. And
Mm-hmm.
I think I've always loved dressing up. um we it You have to show up in clothes, so I don't think it's superficial. I mean, when I did research for my books, I spoke with doctors who said they've noticed that when women, their patients, did something as simple as just wash their hair or put lipstick on, they noticed
Mm-hmm.
that they healed faster
Mm-hmm.
from their operations or their illness, and they didn't ask for their pain medicine as much. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that there's a real power in physically uh, making yourself look your best. It's the
Mm-hmm.
easiest way to change things, because if you
Mm-hmm.
feel that you look good, then you will probably do good. But
Mm-hmm.
I think that
Mm-hmm.
if you think you don't look well, or, if you don't, then you're probably going to stay at home and not go to that party or not go to that event, or not, because you don't want to be judged. And I think if you can
Mm-hmm.
break that a little bit, and that's what some of my books were about, if you can break that pattern and burst through it and try to get something that makes you feel confident, then you are more open and able to give your unique gift, and we all have it. And
Mm-hmm.
not everybody is meant to go to Africa. Like none of my friends, my girlfriends, want to do that. They go, Dayle, what are you doing? But I think it's for me. It's what I
Mm-hmm.
like. I have the time. I have the inclination. I learn a lot. I need to be firsthand. I need to hold the hand, hear the story, have the experience, because then I can come back
Mm-hmm.
and share the story,
Mm-hmm.
and get people that don't have the time to do that, that are busy with their jobs, to come up with other ways. Like LVMH mentored my girls for 6 months, over the internet, and that
Mm-hmm.
enabled one of the girls who was at 8 years old. We found her living on the street, at 19, to win the MasterCard Foundation's a leadership scholarship to go to university. So there's all ways that we can help. You don't have to go to Africa to help. That's just my way. So I think more of the same and different ways that I can work with people to give back in any way I can, even if it's just dressing. I mean, I had my niece call me and said, I'm working with somebody. She's coming from Canada and she's a really big speaker. Can you help her get dressed? And I went, I don't know her. I spent 2 days with her, got her hair colored, got her hair cut, went to all the, and I just had fun. I got to experience her. It's vulnerable. It's fun. It's exciting. It's like being a little girl again, so it's fun. It's fun to dress up, right?
Yeah, it's fun. It's great because I think dressing and doing all these things to oneself is not, as you said, it's not at all superficial. It's an important form of self-care, yeah. And
Yeah.
that's how our society works. I mean, there's those signals that we send out when we feel good in our skin. And it's not just the skin, it's also the garments, yeah. I agree. But I want to ask you, so looking at it today, of course, it has changed. So we see a lot of models that are much older than 36, and in advertisement, on the catwalks, and it's a big thing, which I think is great, finally. But is it will this stay? So are we transforming into a society that will embrace age differently because we are all on our way to live longer? Or is it more of a trend? It's just very cool to work with elderly men, or particularly elderly women, or I don't even know what the right term is. Yeah. Um, and that will, go by eventually. What do you think?
I do not think it's just a whim or a fad. I think when I was researching my books again, at the turn of the century, the average age of a woman was 46 years old. So we've come a long way since then. The turn of 1900. So not 2000, 1900. So, and I like to think that I was on the forefront of helping that change. And I think I love when I see older women in their beauty and shining. I love to see it because it opens up the range. And I don't think that we will replace youth, because youth is full of
Youth is youth.
Youth is youth, and it's full of promise, and it's gorgeous, and it's wonderful. But it's really nice, not only for us to see ourselves reflected in beautiful older women and the possibilities. It's also good for the young people, to stretch the runway out for them, that they don't feel that they have to have everything and be famous and do everything only in their 20s. When I was in Saudi Arabia, I actually was talking to some young girls that were asking my advice, and when I sit down and talk with them, and they were basically saying, and I had this not only in Saudi Arabia, but in other countries, where I said, what's your biggest fear? And the girl was 22, and she said, getting old. And I said, what's old? And she said, 50. And I said, whoa, okay. And she said, yeah, I'm thinking of killing myself at 50. And I went, oh my Lord. Okay, so I think that that's a very positive thing. So I said, do I look old? Because I'm older than 50. And she said, no, you don't. I said, well, there you go. I'm just saying, you'll probably change your mind when you get up there, but it lengthens the runway for the young people, that they see where they can go, and it's not scary. Because we as women and the girls have to be sovereign and own our life, that every age has gifts to give us. Every age has secrets. And if we desperately hold on to the prior age, afraid to blossom into the other ages, we will never hear what those ages have to offer us. And I have many of my girlfriends going, okay, what's my 60s like? I said, serene. Okay, what's my 50s like? kick butt. So I have a friend who's just turning 50. She said, well, you always say that 50s are kick butt. I said, yeah, because the 50s are where you feel pretty much fully formed. It's where you say, this is mine, and I'm taking this area, and I'm going to make something of it. You're building all in your 30s and your 40s. You're building who you are. So I think that all the ages, and hopefully, I'm discovering the different levels and ages, and how that support or platform reflects honestly for me, towards me, going forward and also going backward, and for the people around me. How does it reflect authentically for because I don't know either. It's not written out. What is 70? What is 80? What is 90? Can you be in your 90? I don't know, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah.
But I think if you stay curious, if you stay interested, if you stay healthy and energetic, if you working out is really important to me because it gives me energy, and I mix it up with a little mini trampoline, with my gym downstairs, a lot of walking and yoga. So, and my meditation, all of those, you work on your mind, you work on the body. So then that will be your entry point into what your 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s will be.
Yeah, because it also cultivates a different feeling for yourself if you're so connected to yourself physically also every day.
It's a recipe.
Yeah.
You're making a recipe of your life. And though if you're at all cooking, if you put in too much butter, it's going to be a little wishy-washy cake,
Yeah.
So you've got to put in the good thinking,
Mm-hmm.
the actions towards others, have a philosophy and understanding of what aging is about, what your life and where the value is, because wants and needs are ephemeral. As soon as you get what you want, you're going to replace it with another want.
Mm-hmm.
But values, what your values, I mentioned that when we were talking, like what you value stays permanently.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's very good to make that list. Like, here's what I want and here's what I value.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a good guide for where to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wonderful. Yeah. What is last question? You shared a little bit what your beauty hacks are in terms of working out, but if you have something else, please share it. And also, how do you relax? And you also mentioned that working out energizes you. Anything else that you also do to give yourself energy? So basically, how do you relax? What gives you energy? And one or two beauty hacks.
Yeah. Well, it's different things. If I'm like really irritated or I will clean. So that's very handy. So, and then when I do is I put music on. Also, when I cook, I'll put music on. Like I like old-fashioned music. Like I really like Mark Anthony because I think they're happy. I think, the Temptations, any music like ABBA, any music that gets you. And then I will do the thing I'm doing, and then I will stop. Because I think you can change your vibration by just moving your body, by dancing. I think it's divine. I think you're moving the body and you're communicating to the body that energy is happening. So I think if you feel depressed or down, which we all do at a certain point, that can be another key thing to do. I meditate regularly every single day. I meditate, and I have my own way to do it. And I have singing bowls that I do, and sound things, and that I do. So I think that's important, and protections that I do, because there's a lot of negative energy that can come your way. So you really need to counteract it by strengthening your inner part. I definitely do the workout and a lot of walking. Nature, whenever I'm in nature, or listen to birds, listen to the sounds. I like being with my friends. I like clothes. I like fashion. I like trying to look through and say what is useful, not clothes to just buy them, but what is useful and that is kind of a tool that can interpret me in a way that I want to be interpreted or how I feel. Because I think that we show up as a different people. I'm a Gemini, so I'm a different person all the time. I'm a different person, but so you want to really be complementary to who and how you want to show up. I mean, if you're working, then it's another way to show up. If you're doing sports, it's another way to show up. So I think it's fun to feel good about the way you show up. So I think that's good. So I will turn on music. I will take a bath if I need that relaxation. I will even take a nap if I need it. I had a friend that I always thought that was ridiculous, but sometimes you need to rest, just rest. And you need to dream a little bit. I read a lot. Um, I do knitting. I do
Oh.
some knitting and some embroidery. I like that. Although sometimes confining, but my daughter, she sometimes will come to me and she'll say, "See this hat? Can you make this for me?" And I go, "Oh God, I don't even have those." So I have to go and I have to learn how to do it. But I finished it for her. The last scarf I did for her for Christmas took me 3 years, but I did it. I did it. I'm thinking about writing a third book.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a lot of energy, but I have an idea
Mm-hmm.
for it, so I'm thinking about that. I
Mm-hmm.
think to stay creative and to stay
Mm-hmm.
interested. I go to the museum sometimes. I'm trying to think of all the different things I do. I love riding a bike. I love moving the body because if you move your body, it's very hard to be depressed or down. It's very hard.
Yeah, true.
Just turn on music if you don't want to do all of that and just say Dayle said this and I'm going to turn
Yeah.
on the music and I'm going to do it. If I can leave you with one thing, because it is divine, just any kind of stupid little movement,
Mm-hmm.
or twist or all of those things. I
Mm-hmm.
think that's very handy. And
Yeah.
just getting together with like-minded people and communicating, with
Mm-hmm.
them, going to with groups and listening to what your local chapters have to offer. It's all good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
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 I'm also
Well,
protecting my energy because I don't want to go to everything because
no.
I try to figure out intuitively who is going to be there. Are they going to take more than, from me than I can offer? Because
Mm-hmm.
all we have is our energy. It's precious. We have
Mm-hmm.
to take care of it. And we can do that with some of the things that I suggested. We can
Mm-hmm.
build it up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. True. Ah, Dale, wonderful. Thank
Oh,
you so much. This has been really beautiful. You have to tell me the names of your books, please.
yes, it's the first one was called Ageless Beauty,
Mm-hmm.
and that's about inner and outer beauty. It's a big picture book. And the other was the 5 Principles of Ageless Living.
Mm-hmm.
My nonprofit, you can log on to the website, which is womenone.org, O-N-E,
Mm-hmm.
womenone.org. I also would like to say, that somebody asked me after I did that whole event at Etro that you were at,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
dressing women and folding things and lifting up collars and stuff like that. They said, well, you want to come downtown to Soho to Jenny Kane because Claudia is doing a round table. And I sat there and I go, do I have the energy to do it? And I'm so glad I said yes.
Me
So
too.
I said yes. And you had all these young girls in their 20s, all in a circle. And do you know, Claudia, they've all reached out and we have coffee. We're going to have coffee together and get together. So I really wanted to thank you for that, for your initiative became my gift, so
Yeah.
thank you.
Well, and thank you for coming. Yes, these salons always have an amazing energy, and it's every time a surprise and an enrichment
It's
what
true.
comes out. So
I
yeah.
hope your people who are listening will, log on to the website, womenone.org, or look at the books or reach out to me on Instagram, Dayle Haddon, DM me. Because I usually do answer. I answer everybody. I try.
Fantastic. Wow, you have so much energy. This is
Thank
very,
you.
very inspirational. All right.
Mm.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful rest of your Sunday.
I will, and I will see you in the city, right, Claudia?
Absolutely. Yes,
Okay,
yes.
good.
Oh, absolutely. Very soon.